Everyone seems to agree that our tax system here in New Mexico is broken, especially gross receipts tax, yet fixing it has often eluded lawmakers. But now two new tax experts are urging the legislators to initiate a study that looks at revenues and how the gross receipts tax can be replaced with a more equitable system. The two told lawmakers this system no longer fits our economy and is a hindrance to economic development. But Senator Peter Wirth also cautioned that change should be done carefully or the average citizen could, quote, get hammered. Rob, Senator Wirth said that people pay taxes because they don't have a lobbyist to carve out an exemption for them. I love that quote. That was like painful, as a matter of fact. This comes up, here we are yet again, though. Gross receipts tax. Seems like every 3 or 4 years, we have this discussion in New Mexico, and nothing really seems to happen. Let's start with the 2-year study. What are we supposed to find out in this 2-year study? What do you think?
Well, I hope that we can find out some sort of some guidelines and how to go forward. For me, the gross receipts tax is like the third rail of New Mexico politics. They talk about the third rail of American politics being Social Security, where it's a problem. We know we need to do something to fix Social Security, but no politician is going to do it because they're going to get electrocuted. This is what happens with gross receipts tax. Everyone knows, no one says we have a good tax system in New Mexico, but when it comes down to actually fixing it, that's another thing, because the food tax, for example, that is radioactive.
Let's go right there.
Because if you're going to say let's change it and let's tax food again, you're going to get zapped, and because people are going to say you're making people have to pay taxes for their tortillas, and that is for a politician. That is the third rail.
The tortilla tax, the infamous tortilla tax. Interesting. Peter Anklam and some other folks that we've interviewed here at New Mexico PBS have talked about this, Julianne. Richard Anklam, sorry about that, I forgot, a lot of Anklams in my head there. One of the things he's proposing is to, all right, let's tax everything, but dramatically reduce the rate of tax and everything, including food, medicine, clothing, whatever. How does that strike you in your gut from a Santa Fe point of view? Because you have a lot of folks up there who can afford a new tax, but a lot of folks who cannot afford
Yeah, I think the nature of the GRT, Senator Wirth called it wildly regressive in that same story, that there's a pushback when you talk about raising taxes in any form, especially among people who are on the fixed income. What I think Mr. Anklam said that was really interesting was that you've got to have the right political climate to make these tax changes. And we might be heading into exactly the climate that he described with a lame duck governor, with a legislature. Well, that's what I mean. That if she comes out on top in November, she might really be in a position to ignore some of the political pressure that otherwise you would face. And what he said was that you really need to do it in a vacuum. You need to be able to come to hammer out some deals really behind closed doors. Now, as a journalist, that makes me really nervous. But I can understand that is one way to accomplish such a big job.
Interesting. He mentioned that when he was here, Mr. Anklam. It's funny, Tom, when you think about this idea of equity on taxation here in New Mexico, this has always been the problem. Julianne makes a very good point. If you're on a fixed income, it's not going to feel very equitable at all. It doesn't matter if everybody else is. You know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure where they're coming from on this that could survive a political committee, let alone the governor's veto pen.
And that's why I think it's smart to first start in a 2-year study group. It's and it kind of bothered me that who's out there looking out for the little guy. Isn't that why people are elected to begin with?
That's right.
But when we look at the impacts that it has on the individual, who are the organizations that have a way of skirting the tax system? Well, companies who want to do business in New Mexico. That is the very first thing that's thrown out. Okay, great, we'll give you a tax break, which tells me that, okay, there's an issue with our tax system that needs to be addressed if it's seen as a benefit to try and bypass it. Now, granted, companies who are wanting to move here are going to try and find the best possible deal for them to be profitable. But who's left holding the bag? It's small business, because they're the ones who don't get the tax breaks that the large organizations get.
Megan Kemerick, our producer, and I were talking about this segment beforehand, and it strikes me, I can't think of any other situation in New Mexico, Laura, where you can raise $150 million in such a quick lightning strike kind of a way here. Do you know what I mean? So it seems almost irresistible to get at taxes that like Tom's talking about when you got that kind of a payoff. You know what I mean? But I'm curious where the governor might be on this in your view. I mean, lame duck or not, it seems to me if she's got a future in politics, she doesn't want the idea of taxes around her. You know what I mean? It just doesn't really sit with where she's been at so far. What's your thought on that?
I have a lot of thoughts, and I also should caveat the whole thing by saying that I actually worked as a staff attorney at Tax and Rev for a
that's
year,
right.
for almost a year under this administration, and so I sort of peek behind the curtain a little bit in terms of what that agency does, and I do think that overall our tax system is Swiss cheese. I mean,
Right.
you've got carve-outs and holes and things, and if you look at, my observations have been that if you just look at the tax impact to individuals, small businesses versus the tax impact as a whole to larger corporations, there's definitely an inequity there. I mean, I think that you see,
It's been a
those on a
it's been a
fixed
campaign
income.
issue on
Yeah, those on a
occasion,
fixed
sure.
income, those are small businesses tend to pay more out of their, as a percentage of their overall money, their revenues, than the larger corporations. And there is some heartburn, I think, politically to see that, especially larger corporations that are, have the wherewithal and are based out of state, being able to get some of those, carve-outs and take advantage of that is a real problem. On the other hand, there's also the need to balance, economic development and try to use this as one more tool. So I think it could very well be an issue, but I'm not sure that there's the will to do much in this next session.
Right.
There's a lot.
There wasn't last session.
There wasn't last session, and we may
Right.
very well end up with a lot of new faces, especially given that the House, so many people have retired, and there's a lot of new people coming in. So I can't imagine that we're going to see any radical changes.
We have to figure this out. Something's not right here. We have to figure this out. So we'll see how it goes.